Autumn's definitely here. The nights are dark and it's time for some of us to withdraw to our sheds. In this innocuous looking brown taped wrapped parcel is one of my winter projects. I'm going to open it up and show you what it is. So what we've got here is an IFRA wood-rimmed steering wheel. These were fitted to Mercedes W124s back in the early 1990s. This one I've bought to go on the 91 GMC Safari day van, so it's period correct, not that that bothers me. Usually these sell for in excess of 350 quid. I found one on eBay, which I'll pop a picture up of now. This particular one I won on eBay for £90 including delivery. Now it's not without its issues. It's got a Momo horn push in it, which it shouldn't have, so I don't know what that's doing in there. The wood on the centre has lost its lacquer, so that needs stripping back and re-lacquering. The rim is in remarkably good condition. There is just one little mark, I can't even get it to show on the camera, just there, which I might have to, I don't really want to refinish the whole rim of the wheel just for that one little bit, so I might touch that up with some decent varnish and decent lacquer. But the plan with this is to split it all apart, see what's going on with that horn push, refinish the wooden centre, fit a new boss to it so that it fits the, because that's obviously to fit a Mercedes. So I've ordered a GMC boss, so fit that and just generally clean it up. The whole wheel is in really nice condition. IFRA, made in Italy, and there should be a date on there. It's usually 19 something, can't really see, but yeah, it dates from about 1991. Perfect age for going on the day van, which is a 91 day van. And also, day vans in general tend to have glitzy steering wheels, particularly pre-airbag, when they could go, you know, like mine, where it doesn't really matter what steering wheel you put on it because there's no need to have an airbag on it. For some reason, the one that we've got's just got the standard GMC steering wheel on, which it's in really nice condition, but it's a bit big and it's not as glam as I would like it to be. So that's what this one's destined for. So we're going to bust it apart and have a look and see how easy it's going to be to refurbish it. So that's now had most of the old varnish stripped off with the DA. It's nice hardwood, so as long as you don't push too hard. I used quite an abrasive disc to start with before going down to a smaller, a less abrasive one, a finer one. I also used my Dremel with a drum sander on to get into some of the tight little gaps. As the varnish has been coming off, I've noticed it looks like a dye in the varnish. This wood is now looking noticeably lighter than the rim of the steering wheel. So I think I'm going to put a colour onto it before I final sand it. I think the only colour that I've got is cedar. So I hope cedar looks all right on it. So we'll put some cedar stain on it before we sand it again. So the stain's dry and I've given it a little bit of a sand with, which one was it? That one, 2000 grade, I think. The trick with getting a gloss finish on hardwood, yeah, 2000, is to get it as smooth as possible. That way, when the lacquer goes on, it doesn't have any huge gouges or gaps to fill. So a good final hand sand with a good fine paper, and you can see the light bouncing off that. It's almost like glass in places. There are duller areas, but that should come up with the lacquer. The only thing I'm concerned about is that it hasn't darkened a lot. So I think what we're going to do is shoot some lacquer onto the back, just a light coat, and let it set up overnight, and we'll have a look and see how dark it dries and see if we need to address the colour at all. This is the lacquer that we're going to be using. There's a very good reason that we're using this particular lacquer, and it's what I had on the shelf. So I don't know where it came from, but it says it's flawless and it says it's crystal clear. So we'll shoot a light coat on and see how it affects the colour of the wood. Well, that's a lot darker than I thought it was going to be. So we'll let that set up overnight and have a look at it in the morning.
The next day.
Well, it's the next day, and would you look at that? It's dried. If we compare it with the rim of the steering wheel, there is a little bit of a difference. Now, I don't know whether or not that's going to deepen with more lacquer. I'm guessing probably not, so it's going to need some more stain. So I might mix in a little bit of, I've got some darker stain that is massively too dark. I'm just wondering if I'll make my own by mixing some of the cedar together with some walnut, just to bring the colour a little bit closer. So I'll have a bit of a play, I think. So I've mixed up a batch of slightly darker wood stain using about 3/4 cedar wood stain and about 1/4 English walnut. Mixed it all up, You can't see. But we'll get that on and we'll see what that looks like. And there we go with my mix of stains. If we bring the rim in, that is far closer of a colour match. Now, whether or not it's going to stay like that when it dries, who can tell, but well, time. If we compare it to the other side, it is quite dark. So we'll let that set up. It's a lot of trial and error going on here. While we're waiting for it to dry, we'll have a look at this horn push, which came with the wheel. It doesn't work, it's jammed up solid, and one of the terminals is missing. So I think that's scrap. Not that we would have used it anyway, because I think we're going to go for a plain branded one. So I'm going to hop on the internet and see what I can find. I'll measure it. I'm fairly sure they should be a relatively standard size, and we'll see if we can find a replacement. That's had the stain on and time to dry, and I've given it a quick sand with the 2000 grit paper again to get it nice and smooth. Again, if we compare it to the back, which had the coat of lacquer on last night, it now looks pretty similar without the lacquer on when the lacquer darkens it. So hopefully that will be very similar to the rim of the wheel. We'll bring the rim of the wheel in again for comparison. It still looks lighter, but hopefully with lacquer on, it'll darken down nicely. We're gonna, before we spray the lacquer, we're going to be using a automotive body shop tack rag just to wipe the whole surface down where we're going to be. Look at the muck that's come off on that we're going to be lacquering. This stops fish eyes, and also if you work in automotive body or if you've done any car painting yourself, you'll know. The benefits of using a tack rag. Like I say, lots of muck coming off that, sanding muck. Okay, that should be ready now for another coat of lacquer. That is a lightish coat of lacquer on top of the made up stain, and that looks all right. I'm not going to bring a steering wheel in close to it in case I knock them together, but we'll let that flash off, give that a sanding back, build up some coats, get it looking nice and glossy. While that is flashing off, we'll have a go at removing this steering boss. Steering boss is held onto the wheel by 6 little countersunk screws, and they are a 3mm hex fitting, so I'm using my dinky rinky dinky little socket set, and we'll bust those out. Got a little bit of galvanic corrosion going on. We've got steel set screws or bolts going into an aluminium hub adapter, and they have just rounded off on me, so we'll have to drill those 2 out. There we go. That's that off the hub. If we were reusing that hub, we'd have to drill that out quite neatly and retap it, but because we're not and that's scrap, it doesn't really matter. So that was a simple way of removing the wheel from the hub. While the lacquer is setting up on the centre section, I'm going to see if I can address this one little bit of damaged lacquer on the rim of the wheel itself. I'm zoomed in quite far here, and it's, you see, just on there, it looks as if it's where whoever used to drive the vehicle that it was fitted, they had their thumb, and it's worn. I don't want to strip back the whole steering wheel rim because it's really good. The rest of it, it's really tidy. So I'm going to see if I can just touch in that area there with some hard glaze varnish, or I'll see what I've got. It might actually have a little bit of colour in the varnish that I've got as well, which will help that, but there is only that just that tiny little crack there and that bit of wear there. So I'm going to try and touch it in anyway. That's what I'm going to try and use. It's quite ancient. There's a little bit left in the bottom of the tin, and fingers crossed it'll do the job. I'm giving it a little bit of a stir, what's left in there, and it does have what looks to be a nice golden colour to it. So that should help. It's just whether or not my hand is steady enough now to apply it. And that's done. I'm not sure that I'm 100% happy with it, but it is only a tiny part of the wheel, and it should wear in quite nicely. It just protects the bit of wood that was open to the elements. Just dabbed it in there just to fill the crack. So we'll see how that dries. Today we're going to be polishing the chrome. Is it chrome? Polished steel? Don't know, but the middle bit of the steering wheel. The varnish is set up on that corner there and it looks all right. So we'll get to work polishing. That polished up. I'm not too worried about the inside where the wooden cover from the middle covers, because obviously it covers it. We're just worried really about the bits that you can see. I'm quite pleased with that. So it's quite late in the evening. The Amazon delivery man's just been and he's bought me this. That is the replacement horn push. I've dressed it up a little bit with the GMC logo that I've printed off and laminated, so it's about as good as it's going to get. The standard fitting on a aftermarket steering wheel uses a bracket that fits kind of behind there and screws on, it bolts on in between the boss and the steering wheel. Because this is a non-standard dressed up wheel, it looks as if I'm going to have to fit that into the back of the steering wheel centre, because otherwise it sits too deeply in the hole and you can't see it. So to attach that in, I think the best thing to do is going to be to hot glue it. So we've got the hot glue gun warming up now. I'm going to bond that in, and then we'll put the steering wheel together, and apart from the boss, we're pretty much done, I think. And that's done. We just need to wait for the steering wheel boss now to come. I've ordered that off eBay. I think it's coming from China, so it could be a couple of days, could be a week, could be longer. Once it arrives, we'll put it all together and we'll fit it to the van.